The Marvel Cinematic Universe has been so ingrained in our world that we can't really remember what superhero movies were like before.
Bad Deadpool.
These epic movies have definitely changed the name of the game, especially when it comes to spin-offs, sequels, and franchises.
Good Deadpool.
With Marvel releasing so many films and TV shows, we wonder what's in store for this ever-expanding studio.
Stop lying to me!
If you're curious to know, watch our video and find out what the future holds in store for the MCU. We think it's pretty epic. But before you discover what's in store, make sure to click on that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things in the MCU. We promise you won't regret it. But first, can you guess what feature film these emojis are showing? Find out at the end of the video. TV shows and movies crossover. For those of us who love anything and everything Marvel related, we know that in addition to the movies in the MCU, there are also TV shows. For those who don't know, you might be thinking, what? There are already so many films being released. We are expected to keep up with TV shows too? Well, yeah, they're all amazing. Give them a go on Netflix if you haven't already. The die-hard fans and new fans have often wondered if there will ever be a crossover between the two. They do all take place in the same sphere, right? We have been hoping for this since we heard about the big crossover that will happen in the MCU. In the movie world, it will be between the Avengers and Guardians in the film Avengers: Infinity War, and this summer, TV will have their crossover in the Netflix show The Defenders. Since they're already happening, why not do an epic crossover? Well, we have good news and bad news. Kevin Feige said an epic crossover is possible, but there needs to be right timing. There are already so many characters in Infinity, adding more characters in would result in them having very brief screen time. If that's the case, we think it will be worth the wait.
Sorry.
More team-ups. What do we love more than Marvel superhero films? Go on, take a guess. If you said team-ups between superheroes on screen, you are correct. If you didn't, well, we still love them. One of the many reasons we love the Avengers films and the Guardians films is because of the chemistry between the characters. We love seeing them interact, especially through dialogue. The witty banter between our favorite heroes is what makes Marvel so great. This summer, we can expect to see an awesome team-up in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, will be making an appearance and sort of mentoring our young Spidey. Later this year, we will also see Mark Ruffalo reprise his role as Bruce Banner, better known as the Hulk, in Thor: Ragnarok. At this point, there have been several intersections of character stories that it looks like heroes are going to start joining others in their standalone movies. Kevin Feige has said we can expect more unexpected team-ups from here on out. And we could not be more excited. Our brains are already brewing up epic team-up storms. Recasting characters. Alright, let's be straight here. If you had to choose one favorite Marvel film, which would it be and why? We're betting it's the film that started the official MCU, 2008's Iron Man. Well, if it's not your favorite, it's at least in your top 5. We know it's been almost 10 years, but can you imagine anyone else but Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man ever? Can you imagine anyone else playing Captain America? Nope, not even Feige can. He's compared Chris Evans' Captain America to Christopher Reeve's Superman and has said the RDJ is Iron Man. But some scary news for you RDJ fans. He, along with other main actors and actresses, will see their contracts expire sometime in the near future. Plus, their characters' story arcs are nearing their conclusion. Could this really mean replacements? While there are no immediate plans, Kevin Feige does acknowledge the possibility down the line. He has mentioned characters in franchises like James Bond, Batman, and Sherlock Holmes who outlast the actors playing them. So it's definitely possible. Heck, Spider-Man is on his 3rd actor, so we should probably mentally prep ourselves for the future.
Did I leave the stove on?
Big name actors. Now that comic books have not only become the norm, but also essentially taken over, there are more actors and actresses interested in them. No, it's not just the actors and actresses that are fans who are interested. Comic book films have become a hot commodity. We know iconic actors and stars have already found their way into the MCU. We've had Jeff Bridges, Tommy Lee Jones, and even Sir Anthony Hopkins jump on board the comic book world before it was such a massive conglomerate. But now that it's reached new heights, the comic book film world has attracted much more attention. We have big names like Tilda Swinton, Michael Douglas, Ben Kingsley, Robert Redford, and Kurt Russell join the MCU. Sylvester Stallone also made a brief appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The MCU most recently has brought on award-winning actors Michael Keaton and Brie Larson to join in on the fun. Michael Keaton will be playing Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, in this summer's Spider-Man: Homecoming film. Brie Larson, as mentioned before, will be starring in the Captain Marvel film. These powerhouse names are something the studio wants to keep doing, and we are not complaining. We are excited to know what else Marvel Studios has in store for us. Marvel characters assembled. Before the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it today was even conceived, the studio licensed the rights to some of their biggest characters. Before you flip out, it was done for good and to save Marvel Entertainment from bankruptcy in the 90s. Remember, not all heroes wear capes. Some sacrifice some of their best characters to save the rest of the company. Some of these studios that own the rights to Marvel heroes were able to create some pretty substantial franchises. 20th Century Fox has the X-Men franchise, and Sony Pictures has the Spider-Man series, although Sony has now joined forces with Marvel Studios for the friendly neighborhood web-slinger. Because Marvel doesn't have the rights to all of their characters, they have been finding creative solutions and altering characters' origin stories. But now it's time to return the heroes back to their homes. We all want to see our favorite comic book characters together, right? Well, there's hope for us all. Kevin Feige has said his goal is to eventually get all of the Marvel characters back to Marvel so they can be used in the MCU. He wants to replicate on screen the experience comic book fans have when they read the books. It's like they're answering our prayers, and we can't wait. Spidey stays in MCU for 3 films. Well, we know that the Spider-Man franchise has had a very busy decade or so. But with a new chapter for the favorite neighborhood web-slinger, we can't help but wonder what's next for Spidey. We just mentioned that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige stated that there is at least one more Spider-Man film already planned, a sequel to this summer's Spider-Man Homecoming. The trade-off deal between Marvel Studios and Sony for Spider-Man included one team-up film and one solo tie-in film. But much to our delight, it has expanded to include additional films. Hooray! We remember seeing Tom Holland as Spider-Man briefly in Captain America: Civil War, and this summer in his own Spidey movie. But now the original deal includes Avengers: Infinity War. We hope this also includes the Untitled Avengers 4, but anything can happen at this point. Tom Holland has mentioned that he has 3 solo movies in addition to his group movies. So we know that Spider-Man Homecoming will be one of his solo films, and Captain America is one of his group appearances. So that means we should have 2 more solo films and 2 more appearances, right? Well, we do know that this is the first Spider-Man to join the MCU, and we are so excited. We think Spidey will be sticking around MCU for a while.
Star-Lord. Who?
The end of phases. As discussed in one of the aforementioned sections, Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe ended with the first of the Avengers films. For you fans, you know that each of the phases in the MCU from then on has been marked and concluded by the release of an Avengers movie. And if you're following the timeline, we are still currently in Phase 3 of the MCU, with upcoming Marvel films to include this year's released, building to next year and 2019, they will build up to Avengers: Infinity War. Marvel then has the untitled Avengers 4 film, which is the end of Phase 3. At this point, Marvel will have 22 films in the first 3 phases. So what's in store for the comic book universe? Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has stated that whatever happens after these 22 films might not be Phase 4, but it definitely will be very different. Does this mean a radical recasting of our favorite characters? Don't tear your hair out too much, folks. Feige has also stated that they aren't really focusing too much on what happens after Avengers 4. The only thing that is planned is a second film for Spider-Man because it's part of the agreement they made with Sony. Also, a third Guardians of the Galaxy film.
And wearing a red suit.
No R-rated films. We know that sometimes comic books can get a tad bit graphic, but for the history of Marvel Studios, they have always kept it family-friendly. Superhero movies have become the norm, so how do you push boundaries? More CGI, cooler special effects, witty dialogue? How about an R-rated comic book film? Last year, Tim Miller's Deadpool made a huge splash and revolutionized the R-rated comic book world in the film industry. We know that R-rated comic book films aren't a new thing, but none have been as successful as Deadpool. Part of its success was of course Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of Wade Wilson, but another part was its larger fan base. The film also proved that certain characters are made for more mature audiences and don't need to be watered down to cater to everyone. Deadpool has even inspired 20th Century Fox to make Logan, which is also R-rated. So does this mean Marvel Studios is next? Well, for now, the answer is no. Although Kevin Feige has said the studio does want to push boundaries, they aren't doing that quite yet. Yes, they do technically operate under Walt Disney Studios, and they don't really have plans to feature any hardcore violence or language anytime soon. Captain Marvel. We love our superhero movies, right? That's why we're here. However, it's no secret among fans that there is some serious lack of diversity on the big screen in terms of some awesome female heroes. Why is that? It's not like there isn't an abundant amount of resources in the comic book world. There are a ton of amazing female superheroes. Okay, we know that we do see some female heroes on screen, but why don't they have their own spin-off movies like all the other male protagonists? We know that Patty Jenkins has answered our wishes with her film Wonder Woman this summer. It's the first female-driven superhero film, and it's also directed by a female, and we love it. The question is, what is Marvel Studios doing to remedy the situation on their end? Well, it looks like they have a journey plan for Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, in 2019, starring the one and only Brie Larson. We hope this is only the start of more female-centric superhero films, especially if it leads to Black Widow having her own solo film. How cool would that be?
Please, no gang signs. No, throw it up, I'm kidding.
3 movies per year. Think you've had enough superhero films? Nope, guess again. Marvel Studios can't stop and won't stop. They began with their Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2008 with a little film called Iron Man. It was followed by The Incredible Hulk, and a couple years later, Iron Man 2 hit theaters. In 2012, we had the great pleasure of seeing The Avengers in theaters, which was the first milestone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the end of Phase 1. In 2013, Marvel Studios released 2 films per year, and ever since then, it's been twice the fun. But now in 2017, everything changes. With the release of their 15th film, the much-anticipated Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, they marked the release of the first of 3 films this year. Guardians is set to be followed by Spider-Man Homecoming this summer and Thor Ragnarok later this year. We know, we're pretty excited too, especially because 2018 will include Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Avengers Infinity War. These films are being produced so quickly, we wonder if they'll pump it up to 4 a year. We could start every season with a Marvel film. Now, wouldn't that be something? Well, there you have it. These are just some of the awesome things that Marvel Studios has in store for the MCU. What are you most excited about? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're here, don't forget to check out more awesome videos on our playlist. But before you leave, here is the answer to the emoji question. Did you get it? Let us know. Thanks for watching.